keeps us from really connecting with each other as human beings? Just as strangers, just as someone walking past you on the road. What keeps us from really connecting with each other? One of the things that I think really keeps us from connecting is the fear of things feeling awkward. The fear of things feeling uncomfortable. It's a funny thing, but our soul is wired for growth. Our soul doesn't mind being uncomfortable. Our soul, I don't even know if it has a definition for awkward because it's so focused on growth and connection. And it knows awkward is going to have to be a part of that experience sometimes. But our bodies, on the other hand, they're wired for comfort. They are stay as far away from awkward and uncomfortable as possible, right? We all feel this pull within ourselves of this one voice that's just telling us to just be open, to give love freely, to receive love freely. And then there's this other part of us that's like, within these parameters so that things are not uncomfortable. And I have that pull in myself all the time as well. But it is an incredible thing when we can embrace the awkward and the uncomfortable. And I wanted to share an experience about that to just illustrate this point. So when I was in high school, young high school, I think I was a freshman in high school, I might have even been in 8th grade. My parents have always been really wonderful examples of this, of awkward doesn't matter. If it means connecting with another human being, awkward just doesn't matter. And I remember my dad and I had gone on a trip together. We were wanting some connecting time, probably because I was in junior high. And, anyone who knows people in junior high, it can be a challenging time. So I remember we went up to Canada and my dad took me on this trip for a few days, and it was an amazing trip just to be with my dad, and for him to invest that time in me as a daughter was incredible. But I remember one day we were sitting down on the water. We were in Victoria. We were sitting down on the water, and there was this just this really petite Vietnamese woman, and she was elderly. She was probably in her late 70s. And she was sitting just a little ways down from us, and she was sitting on a bench. And she just looked tired. She may have been homeless, and she just looked just bogged down with life. And I remember that she took her shoes off, and her feet were just so badly calloused. And I remember she was just kind of mumbling to herself softly and was just rubbing her feet. And she looked like she could have just started crying at any moment. And you could just see the tension in her face and in her features as she was just kind of rubbing her feet. I remember my dad, he stood up and he walked over to this woman, and I had no idea what he was going to say or what he was going to do. He just sat next to her and just said, "Hi, this is my name. I'm here visiting. You look like your feet really hurt. Do you want me to rub your feet for you? I know about massage. I'd love to rub your feet for you." I remember as a 13, 14-year-old being like, "That's awkward, Dad. You can't just ask to rub strangers' feet. That's awkward." Until I saw that woman's face. And of course, she was taken back and she said no. No, she didn't want a stranger to rub her feet, understandably. But she could feel the genuine love from my dad. And I remember sitting back and watching this interaction where the look in her eyes changed. This light came into them, and she and my dad started this exchange, just talking and talking and talking. And it was mostly her talking and my dad listening. And then I remember coming over and sitting next to them, and she asked about me, and we talked for a little while. And I remember that by the time we left, this woman was just beaming. She was just smiling. I felt so proud of my dad. I don't even know if my dad remembers this experience. I haven't talked to him about it in years. But for me, it was life-changing to see how sometimes pushing past that voice that tells you you don't want to say or do something awkward can invite so much love into an interaction, and it can bring the light back into someone's eyes. So perhaps next time that you have an opportunity and you hear that voice in your mind saying, "No, I know you're thinking about doing that, but don't, that's awkward, that's weird." Push past it and say, "Heck no. Love is not barred by awkward. It's not. Anyone who's had difficult conversations with their kids knows this is the case. Sometimes it's going to be awkward, but love is not barred by awkward. And love can transcend, and it can turn uncomfortable or awkward into deep, genuine connection that can restore the light in a person's eyes. And it's a beautiful thing. So recognize that voice in yourself, the one that tries to hold you back from the person you are, from the person you know deep down you are, from the person who gives love so freely. And embrace it and see the beautiful thing. That is one of the ways that we empower the world through love, is by not listening to that voice that tells us to avoid the awkward, but listening to that voice that tells us to give love freely with our whole heart. Remember to like and share and subscribe. Thank you so much.